Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, Fox Sports Radio, iHeartRadio, FS1. Good to be here. Greg Cosell in a couple minutes. So there are things sometimes I see, and they're so crazy, I must be wrong. Because I think I'm pretty good, pretty perceptive at viewing stuff and kind of trying to be a quick read on stuff and figure it out. Joy Taylor's joining me. Kansas City is a 10-point favorite over Cleveland, and the line hasn't moved. So that means the sharps, the wise guys, the people that bet for a living, not Twitter, but people that bet for a living, yep, that's the right line. I don't get it. I don't understand it. So basically, Patrick Mahomes is getting the LeBron treatment, which is, we don't really consider the regular season. He'll flip a switch and be great. So Cleveland's won 11 games. They just destroyed the Steelers. They have the number one offensive line in the NFL. They're 7-2 since the bye week. One of those losses close to Baltimore, who everybody loves. The line loves Baltimore this week. They beat 4 playoff teams. They beat the Colts. There's no real advantage, by the way, being at home in Kansas City, maybe a half a point. This is the round, the divisional round where upsets happen. 2 of the last 3 years, big dogs have upset big favorites. Last year it was Tennessee upset Baltimore. And by the way, Raiders were an 11-point dog this year to Kansas City and beat them in Kansas City. And the line hasn't moved. And Baltimore didn't look good in December. Or not, but Kansas City did not look good in December. And they're a 10-point favorite. I don't understand it. So this happens a couple times a year. It happens about once or twice a year. I'm trying to think the last time it happened. It was, I think I'm wrong on this. I think it was like a Jets-Raiders game or something. And the Jets blew the Raiders out. Or it was a Jets game a couple years ago. I'm like, I don't understand the line. So I must be wrong. Generally, every week I think there's a line in the league. Like this year, my favorite bet this year was Green Bay went to Houston. Green Bay got humiliated by Tampa. The next week, they were going to dysfunctional Houston. And I said on Twitter, I'm like, that's the bet of the year, Green Bay. Green Bay was like -4 or something. And they won. And they won easy. I said, that's just a mistake by Vegas. But this is now, I mean, these are talked about, discussed teams. You've only got a couple games left. The wise guys aren't moving off this. So I don't get it. I honestly, it makes me think Kansas City's going to blow out Cleveland. That's what it makes me think. It's like, I understand Andy Reid off a bye. That's like the easiest cliche in the world. They haven't played well in a month, and they're a 10-point favorite. The Raiders were an 11-point. That's what 10 points is in the NFL. Raiders at Arrowhead earlier in the year.
Plus, it's a little more than a bye now.
A bye? Like bye-bye.
Bye's a week.
It's bye-bye. We haven't seen you in 3 weeks. I don't get it. So Greg Cosell, 41 years NFL. We always bring him on Thursdays. Do you bet NFL? Do you play fantasy football or just love the sport? He is now joining us live. NFL Meat Sandwich. Before I get to the playoff games, there's 4. I want to talk about Tua.
Yep.
So my concern was, before he played, I went on the air and I said, listen, Lamar's feet, Josh Allen's size, Herbert's arm, Burrow's escapability and calm. They've all got an it. Tua's accurate. You know, that goes back to the Chris Rock joke. That's the basics in the NFL. That's like saying I love my kids. Okay? Okay, that's the give me, right? So after accuracy, where's the it? And I don't see it. And so I look at that and I think, what does the film say about Tua? Should they move off him? Should they keep him? What does it say?
Well, I'm not going to judge his entire career based on 7 or 8 games or whatever it was, but we have to understand what he is. He's a certain kind of quarterback. He's a timing rhythm player. He needs to hit his back foot. He needs the ball to come out. He has some movement, but he will not be a big-time second reaction player in the league. So now when you look at those traits, you have to decide what can he be. And it's going to lead to a fascinating discussion as we get to the draft, Colin, as to traits versus production. Obviously, to a high-level production at the best college program in America. But traits like Justin Herbert, like Josh Allen is now showing in his 3rd year, he does not have those kinds of traits. So are people going to start looking at traits, or will they still look at production? Tua is not at that level when it comes to traits.
Yeah, I mean, some of these throws, it's like you say, if he's not throwing off the back foot, it doesn't work. Like he has to throw off the back. He has to be set up and ready to throw.
Correct. He's not a late in the down pocket quarterback, meaning he can't go 2.5, 3.1 seconds in the pocket and sit there while the rush gets close. He doesn't have the arm for that. He's not set up for that. He needs to be a timing rhythm thrower, which, by the way, Chan Gailey understood. but it can't happen all the time. And then you need something else to do, and that's where he's not there. Whether he gets there, I'm not going to say he won't, but he's not there now.
All right, let's go to the games. Baltimore at Buffalo. A fascinating matchup with two dynamic quarterbacks. Let's start with this. How will Buffalo try to contain Lamar?
Well, let me tell you this. These two teams played last year, week 14, and the Bills did a really, really good job against Lamar Jackson in that offense. Now, obviously, that offense has added a number of elements to it in the run game. This is a run game offense. But what the Bills did last year, which they have not done this year, is they played out of their base defense last year. This year, they play 90% of their defensive snaps out of nickel with Teron Johnson, the slot corner, essentially playing linebacker against base personnel. And he's very good at it, by the way. So the Ravens have added a lot of these counter gap scheme elements to their run game that are very, very effective. And, of course, you have the Lamar Jackson factor. I mean, the play we're looking at right now, Kevin Byard, a very good NFL safety, was in perfect position to make a play and couldn't make it.
Yeah.
So, really, it's all about stopping the run game and how you go about doing that, because the pass game really is almost secondary.
Josh Allen, how'd you think he played against the Colts? How do you think he's playing?
I think he's playing at a really high level. He's the most physically gifted quarterback in the league when you look at his arm, his size, his movement, and he's playing extremely well right now. He's gotten so much better in a number of areas, pace and touch on his throws, patience in the pocket. His ability to just stand there and deliver the football is absolutely remarkable. So he's playing at a really, really high level. He's going to face a ton of pressure in this game. The Ravens are a proactive pressure defense. They will not be scared of this at all. They are going to pressure Josh Allen. The Bills do not really have that functional a run game, and they don't even use it that much.
Yeah.
So Allen will be under pressure. So he will move in this game, but I do believe he's going to have to make some throws from the pocket. It can't all be just movement throws, as good as he is at that.
Wow. So it sounds like Josh Allen will be under duress. The line's under a field goal, and I can't wait. Now, Kansas City, Cleveland. It would seem to me, as a novice, the run game for Cleveland dictates their chances. They run well, they got a shot. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, it's very interesting you say that, because what do you hear all the time in games like this? You have to keep the quarterback off the field. So on average, there's 12 possessions for a team in an NFL game. So let's say they get 10 possessions instead of 12. So let's say they score 5 touchdowns on those 10 possessions, because Cleveland's defense is not that good, quite honestly, relative to Kansas City's offense. So if you're the Browns, is your goal to run the ball and keep Mahomes off the field, or is your